Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitan Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindu Bhaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we're reading Brhad Bhagavatamrta, and we're hearing how Narada Muni is trying to search out the person who has received the greatest mercy from Lord Krishna.
我们在阅读的这部书是《大伯加瓦堂刊录》。我们听到了Narada Muni 在寻找是谁得到了主 Krishna 最大的仁慈。
So Narada Muni, in his search, he began with a Brahmana, and then the Brahmana sent him to a king in the south.
在Narada Muni 的寻找过程当中，他第一位遇见的是一个婆罗门，之后这位婆罗门就把他指向了南方的一位国王那里。
But when he went to the king, then the king sent him, he told, go and see Indra, the king of heaven.
当Narada去了国王那里的时候呢，国王又把他介绍给了天帝 Indra。
So we're hearing how Indra responds to Narada's claim that Indra was receiving the greatest mercy from Krishna.
现在我们听到了 Indra 来回复 Narada Muni 声称他自己得到了 Krishna 最大的仁慈，他是如何回答的。
So Indra says, the Lord accepts our worship because of the devotion of our parents.
Indra 就对 Narada 说，主接受我们的崇拜，是因为我们的父亲他在接受的，我们的父母。
And because of our priest, because the heavenly priest, the priest of the demigods, he insists to the Lord that you should accept their worship.
而且是由于天堂的祭司一再的向主坚持，要主接受给我们仁慈。
But after he takes our offerings, when we offer things to the Lord, after he takes our offering, he immediately disappears and he goes back to his own abode.
但是主接受了我们的供奉之后，立刻就消失了，回到了自己的居所。
So Narada Muni, he was suggesting to Indra that the Lord is so kind.
Narada 就对 Indra 建议说，主特别的仁慈。
No matter what the Lord does, he's always so kind to the devotees.
无论主他的行为是如何的，他都是展示的是对奉献者的仁慈。
But we cannot understand the mind of the Supreme Lord.
但是我们无法理解主的心思。
The mind of the Lord is so deep that it's impossible for us to fully appreciate everything about the Lord.
主的心思是如此的深奥，我们无法理解主到底在想的是什么。
And when people are in distress, then it causes great anxiety to the Lord.
当人们处在痛苦中的时候，主也相应的感到巨大的焦虑。
And the Lord always tries to show compassion in whatever way he can.
而且主会以他尽可能的方式来展示怜悯之情。
So Indra should try to understand Lord Vamana's, when Lord Vamana neglects Indra, Indra should try to understand the reason behind it, the higher reason.
当主瓦玛的这个表面上不理睬他、忽视他的时候，因者应当理解在这背后主的更高的旨意。
So Indra, he might reply in that way. Indra may say, well, that's all right. The Lord, he wants to, he's showing me his compassion.
因者呢，在回答的时候呢，因者可能会回复说，那可以吧，没问题。但是
He's showing me his compassion.
但是那个主在向我展示他的怜悯。
And if he would just stay here with me permanently, then he could accept my worship.
如果主他永远的居住在这里的时候呢，他会接受我们的崇拜了。
And then I could tolerate everything he does.
那我就会容忍他做的一切事情。
But many of the times he doesn't even let me even see him.
但大部分时候他甚至都不让我看见他。
And Indra's parents are Kashyapa and Aditi. So they worship Lord Vishnu very, very intensely.
因者的父母是Kashyapa和Aditi，他们两个人在前世呢都曾经强烈的崇拜过主 Vishnu。
They worship Vishnu in their previous life, and they're continuing to worship him now.
他们在前世都崇拜了主，而且他们现在仍然继续在崇拜着主。
And Indra's priest is Brihaspati, and he's also a worshipper of Vishnu.
因者的祭司名字叫 Brihaspati， 他也是主 Vishnu 的一个非常热忱的崇拜者。
So Indra, he understands that when Lord Vishnu appears to take my offerings, he doesn't do it just out of compassion for me, but he does it because of the devotion of my parents and my priest.
因者的推理就是说，当主表面上，当主降临显现的时候，来接受我的供奉的时候，他不仅仅是出于对我个人的怜悯，而且呢，他是出于对其他人的一种回报，以及我的祭司回报我的祭司。
And he only stays long enough just to take my offerings, and then he goes away.
而且他停留的时间呢，仅仅是能够接受我的供奉的时间，之后他便消失了。
So previously, when Narada Muni he'd gone to the south and he'd met the king in the south, at that time the king in the south had told Narada Muni that Lord Vishnu always comes in person to accept the worship of Indra.
之前当拿尔的去南印度的那国王那里的时候，国王声称呢，主显现呢都是来接受我们的供奉。
So he comes, but he doesn't stay very long. Very quickly he goes.
所以主确实他降临显现，但是他很快就又消失了。
And then he suddenly comes back, and when he comes back, then Indra will tell him something.
然后主突然又回来了。当主又突然重新显现的时候，英者就对他说了如下的话。
And he says, "We're very much grateful to you for accepting our offering."
英者说，我们非常感激您接受了我们的供品。
And then Vishnu says he will reply to Indra. He says, well, whenever I'm not here to accept your offering, then at that time you can worship Brahma or Shiva instead.
主非常狡猾的回答说，无论何时我不在这里的时候，我不在这里接受您的贡品的时候，您可以转而崇拜 Brahma 或者 Shiva。
And he said, actually, Brahma and Shiva are not different from me.
事实上 Brahma 和 Shiva 跟我没有区别。
And yeah, according to the scriptures, the three deities, Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma, are all the same supreme being.
根据经典，这三位神指 Brahma、Vishnu、Shiva 都是尊者。
So Vishnu says to Indra, have you forgotten this?
Vishnu 对 Indra 说：“难道您忘记了这一点吗？”
So from Indra's point of view, these words are simply, they're just deceitful. They're not straightforward. It's deceitful.
在 Indra 看来呢，这些话不是直截了当的，而是非常委婉的。
Lord Vamanadev, he knows that Indra is attracted to worshipping him.
主 Vamanadev 十分清楚 ，Indra 十分受到对他的崇拜的吸引。
But he teases Indra, and he says to Indra, he said, in the scriptures it said you can worship Brahma and Shiva, it's the same.
但是主呢就逗弄 Indra 说道，在经典中就是这么说了，其实崇拜 Brahma、崇拜 Shiva 和崇拜我是一样的。
And Lord Indra, because he's hearing these words from Lord Vamanadev, Indra is forced to do what Lord Vamanadev says.
因为 Indra 呢，他一直洗耳恭听主 Vamanadev 这番话，所以就不得不按照他的话去做。
And that's why sometimes when they have a festival in heaven, sometimes they will worship Lord Shiva.
正因为这个原因，有的时候在天堂举办节日的时候，他们会崇拜 Shiva。
We cannot be certain where Lord Vishnu lives.
我们并不能肯定到底 Vishnu 居住在哪里。
His home, his abode, we cannot approach it. It's difficult even for great sages to go there.
他的家很难接近，甚至连那些伟大的圣者们都无法通达。
Sometimes he's in Vaikuntha, and sometimes he's on Dhruva's planet.
有的时候他在外昆的无忧星球，有的时候他又在Dhruva Maharaj的星球上，
And sometimes he's in the Milk Ocean.
有的时候又在牛奶之洋上。
So Narada might ask, why don't you go and join? He may say, Indra, he may say to Indra, why don't you go and join with the Lord? Go and be with him.
哪达也许会反问说：“那为什么你不主消失之后，你为什么不去找主呢？”
But Indra says, well, we don't know where he is. He might be in Vaikuntha.
但是英智回答说：“我们根本就不知道他在哪里，他也许在瓦昆塔。
He may be beyond the material world, or he's in the Vaikuntha planet.
他也许在物质世界之上，他也许是在瓦昆塔星球。
And there's a Vaikuntha planet in the universe also. There's a Vaikuntha planet in the universe. It's called Ramapriya.
而在这个宇宙当中，也有一个瓦昆的星球，名字叫 Ramapriya。
And he might be on Dhruva's planet, which is called Vishnupada.
他也许在 Dhruva Maharaj 的星球，那个星球名字叫 Vishnupada。
Or he might be on the island of Svetadweep in the ocean of milk.
他也许在牛奶之洋上面的一个岛叫 Svetadweep 岛。
And now he's in Dwarka.
现在眼下他在朵尔卡，
But even this, we're not certain. It's not 100% sure that he's in Dwarka.
但是就连他是不是在朵尔卡，我们也不能100%的肯定。
Sometimes he goes to the house of the Pandavas, and sometimes he goes to Mathura.
有的时候他去了潘达瓦的房子，有的时候他又在马特拉。
And in Mathura, sometimes he's in the city, and sometimes he wanders in Gokula from forest to forest.
而当他在马特拉的时候呢，他有的时候在城里，有的时候呢，他又在狗库拉的一座森林和另外一座森林漫游。
So it's not easy for us to see him.
所以要想见到他，那我们想见到他可不那么容易，很难。
And it's very difficult to get his mercy.
要得到他的仁慈是难上加难。
So Indra is saying that he should be able to see Lord Krishna easily.
英者呢，本来应该是很容易见到 Krishna 的。
Because Lord Krishna is appearing on the earth. When Indra is speaking, Lord Krishna is actually on the planet.
英者讲这番话的时候 ，Krishna 实际上就在地球上。
But Lord Krishna's appearance is very confidential.
但主 Krishna 的显现是极为机密的话题。
Indra has difficulty to understand how the Lord can be known as his brother, and at the same time he descends to earth.
英者很难理解，为什么主就变成了自己的兄弟，而且同时呢，他又在地球上显现了。
So there's a scripture called Harivamsa, and in the Harivamsa it says that when Narada had come previously as Krishna's messenger, that this is a pastime, it's said in the Harivamsa, so it tells about Narada Muni. He had come as Krishna's messenger.
有一部经典名字叫《Sri Harivamsa》，这部经典当中描述了拿尔达之前他成了主 Krishna 的信使。
And he came to ask Indra to give the Parijata flower for Queen Satyabhama.
他前来请求英者把帕尔扎塔鲜花送给萨提亚巴玛皇后。
So Indra was worried that his brother Krishna may have become degraded by associating with the people on the earth.
英者就很担心他的兄弟 Krishna 由于跟地球上的居民们联谊而变得堕落了。
And Indra even thought that Krishna was too much under the control of women.
而且英者以为 Krishna 过于受到女人的控制。
Because Krishna he said he wanted the Parijata flower for Satyabhama.
英者说，因为 Krishna 想为萨提亚巴玛皇后呢摘取帕尔扎塔花。
So Indra had all these doubts about Krishna.
所以英者就对 Krishna 的这番行为产生疑惑。
Indra was confused because Krishna was wandering on earth.
由于 Krishna 在地球上漫游，英者呢感到十分困惑不解。
Sometimes Krishna will go to Gokul and he'll go to the forest of Mahavan and other different forests.
有时候主会去狗库勒，在马哈万以及其他森林的漫游。
And we know he lived for a few years in Mathura, and then he finally moved to Dwarka and he settled down in Dwarka.
我们知道主一开始在葛库了，后来他又去了马图尔，最终呢，他定居在多尔卡城。
And he constantly travels, although he has a nice home in Dwarka, still he travels. He goes to Mithila and to Hastinapur and to see the Pandavas and also to visit Vrindavan.
尽管他在多尔卡有非常富丽堂皇的宫殿，他会去米提拉、哈斯提纳普尔，或者是有时候他又回到稳达文，在这些地方穿梭。
So Krishna sometimes does go from Dwarka to Vrindavan, and the people of Dwarka know.
有的时候呢，Krishna 就直接从多尔卡去了稳达文，而多尔卡居民对此十分清楚。
Yeah, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's described how the people of Dwarka pray to Krishna.
正典博迦瓦坛描述了多尔卡居民对主 Krishna 的祈祷。
And they pray to Krishna. They say, "Oh, whenever you go away to Vrindavan or Hastinapur to meet your friends and relatives, then every moment of your absence seems like a million years."
他们的祈祷是：主啊，无论何时您去了文达文或哈斯提纳普尔去和您的亲戚朋友会面的时候，对我们来说，您不在的一片刻，就好像上百万年那么长。
So at that time, the people of Dwarka say, at that time our eyes become useless, just like as if there's no sun.
多尔卡的居民说，每当这种时刻来临的时候，我们的双眼就变得没用了，就好像太阳不在天空。
So Indra is speaking, you should know, he's speaking to Narada, he says, you are the best son of Brahma, but you should know that your own father, Brahma, he really got the mercy of Lord Hari.
因着对拿尔说，你应当了解Brahma 的儿子的佼佼者呀，您自己的父亲，他就是主哈瑞的真正的仁慈的接收者。
He is directly the son of Lord Vishnu, the husband of Lakshmi.
他是主 Vishnu 的，他直接就是主 Vishnu 的儿子，而主 Vishnu 是 Lakshmi 的救女神之夫。
The four Kumaras, they're the oldest sons of Brahma. They're senior to Narada Muni.
库马尔斯兄弟是 Brahma 的长子，他们比拿尔达年长。
And there's other sons of Brahma also before Narada.
而且在拿尔达上面还有其他的长兄。
But Narada is superior because of his pure devotion.
但是由于拿尔达的纯粹的奉爱，他就比他们都要优越高超。
Narada is a great devotee of Lakshmi Kanta.
拿尔达是主 Lakshmi Kanta 的伟大奉献者。
But even better than Narada Muni, who's the best son, is the father born not from Mother Lakshmi's womb, but directly from the navel of the Supreme Person.
但是比拿尔达更了不起的是那位不是从 Lakshmi 母亲的子宫当中生出来的，而是由真主的肚脐上的莲花生出来的那一位人。
Right? Do you know who that is? Who's born directly from the navel of Brahma, of Vishnu?
那你们知道 那位直接从威士诺的莲花肚脐上生出来那位人是谁吗？
Yeah, it's Lord Brahma.
就是主 Brahma。
So in one day of Brahma, there are 14 Indras, like this one who's talking. 14 Indras come and go. In the one day of Brahma, 14 different Indras.
那么当下的这位英者就说，在 Brahma 的一天当中呢，就像我这样的英者一共有14位，是来来去去的，一共有14位英者出现和消失。
And then there are also different Manus.
除此之外，还有不同的 Manu，
And all the different demigods.
以及各式各样的半神人们。
And one day equals 1,000 cycles of the different ages on earth.
Brahma 的一天呢，相当于1000个地球的年代1000个地球的年代循环。
Yeah, Bhagavad Gita says there's 1,000 cycles of the 4 yugas and one day of Brahma.
佛家梵歌说，在 Brahma 的一天当中，有1000个年代循环。
And Brahma's night is of the same length. It's equal to the day.
而且那刚才是Brahma 的白昼，而 Brahma 的夜晚呢，也是同样的长度。
And there are 360 days in 1 year of Brahma.
在 Brahma 的一天当中呢，有一年当中有360天。
And one lifetime of Brahma is 100 years.
而 Brahma 的一生呢，持续100年。
So 14 times in each day of Brahma, there are different Manus.
在 Brahma 的每一天当中，有14位不同的 Manu。
And different Indras, different demigods, different incarnations of the Lord come and go.
还有不同的英者，还有至尊主的不同的化身，都消失又显现又消失。
And for each Manu, there'll be 6 different forms, there'll be 6 different appearances of Lord Hari.
而在每个 Manu 统治期间呢，主 Hari 有6个不同的展示。
And there will be different, the chief demigods and the Manu and the sons of Manu and the great sages and all the incarnations of the Lord.
有主要的半神人们，有 Manu， 伟大的圣者们，以及至尊的守神的天权化身。
So Indra has heard about all this, but Indra has a very short life, very difficult for him to understand it all, because we can understand only in relation to our own life. Indra's life is very short compared to Brahma's.
英者都世间曾经听说过这些事情，但是比起 Brahma 的寿命而言呢，英者的寿命是非常短暂的，所以他的理解力也很很有限。
And Brahma is the creator of the planets and the rulers, and he decides who should be the ruler.
Brahma 是各个星球的创造者以及统治者，他可以指派这些星球的统治者。
And he protects the world, and he also gives out the different karma, the fruit of karma.
他保护着3个世界，而且他也分派着众生各自的kar玛业报。
And at the end of his night, then you have the destruction of the world.
在 Brahma 的夜晚降临的时候，3个世界就归于毁灭。
And there's a personality called the Mahapurush. And the Mahapurush is the 1,000-headed form of the Lord.
有一位人物，他的名字叫 Mahapurush， 他是主的1000个头的形象，1000头形象。
And you can always see him on the planet of Lord Brahma.
人们可以在 Brahma 的星球上逢常见到这位 Mahapurush。
And he personally accepts the oblations when they're offered to him.
当他们为这位人物做供奉、祭祀、供奉的时候，这位人物就亲自就接受了所有的贡品。
And he always gives pleasure to his devotees.
他总是要给他奉献者带来欢乐。
So this is how Indra is compared. He's saying Brahma is really great.
因着说这番话是为了表明，Brahma 要比他伟大。
Yeah. The beginning of his life, he will choose people to serve, to take the position of Indra, and who should be the Prajapatis, and what position as demigods they should take. It all be decided by Brahma.
在 Brahma 一生的刚开始的时候，他会指派、任命不同的 Indra， 谁担任 Indra， 谁担任 Prajapati， 以及谁担任其他各自的办事人。
And he protects the universe. He protects the universe from chaos by Vedic sacrifice.
他通过伟大的献祭保护了全宇宙。
And he also establishes the different laws, the social laws, for all the different people, the humans.
他也为不同种类的不同的人类，来设定了这些宇宙秩序、社会秩序。
So Brahma is not only the creator, but he also helps to maintain.
Brahma 不仅仅是创造者，他还帮助了维系。
And Indra says that he also destroys it.
按照因着的说法 ，Brahma 也有毁灭这个宇宙。
He says when Brahma goes to sleep at night, then there's a break in his meditation, and that will destroy the universe.
他说，当主 Brahma 晚上睡觉的时候呢，他的冥想就中断了。
And when Hiranyakashipu worshipped Brahma, Hiranyakashipu, he was a big demon, he wanted to change the universal order. So he worshipped Brahma and he glorified Brahma.
人家卡西布是个大恶魔，他想改变、扭转、颠倒宇宙的秩序，因此他崇拜Brahma。
And in his prayers to Brahma, this Hiranyakashipu, he said, "Let me offer my obeisances unto the Supreme Lord within this universe."
人家卡西布这样向 Brahma 献上祈祷说：“让我向这个宇宙间的至尊主献上虔敬的顶拜。”
And Hiranyakashipu says at the end of each day of his life, end of each day of Brahma's life, the universe becomes covered with dense darkness.
然后卡什布说，在 Brahma 一生当中的每一天结束的时候呢，宇宙就被浓密的黑暗所覆盖了。
And then the next day, when the next day comes, then the Lord, by his own effulgence, he will maintain, manifest, and destroy the whole cosmic manifestation.
在第二天次日的时候，他主通过他自身的光灿呢，他又再次的展示维系 以及火一灭整个宇宙的展示。
He can do this because he has the 3 modes of material nature. He's in
他之所以能完成这项艰巨的任务，是因为他拥有物质自然3种属性的能量。
So living together with Brahma on his planet is the Supreme Lord, the incarnation of the Lord, who is called the Mahapurush.
和 Brahma 在他的星球上一起居住的是至尊主，称为 Mahapurush 的化身。
Mahapurush has 1,000 heads.
Mahapurush 有1000个头颅。
And he is considered the first incarnation.
他被认为是第1位化身。
He is the first incarnation. The first incarnation we could say is Mahavishnu, and then from Mahavishnu, then he expands as Garbhodakashayi Vishnu.
第1位化身呢，我们可以说他是 Mahavishnu， 从 Mahavishnu 又进一步扩展出 Garbhodakashayi Vishnu。
So they're described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the first Mahavishnu, and then Garbhodakashayi Vishnu.
所以在正典波伽瓦坛就描述了这2位 Mahavishnu， 牛奶之羊 Vishnu 以及孕蛋之羊 Vishnu。
So the Supreme Lord comes into the material world, first of all, in the form of the Mahapurush.
至尊主降临这个世界，首先他是以 Mahapurush 的形象降临的。
In the beginning of the creation, the Lord expanded himself in the universal form.
在创造之初，主首先把自己扩展为宇宙形象。
And then he manifested all the ingredients of the material creation.
之后，他又展示出所有创造元素。
So then that way there was a creation of the different 16 principles of material action.
就这样有物质行为的16项原则的创造。
This is for the purpose of creating the material universe.
这些目的是为了创造物质宇宙。
So a part of the Purusha, the Mahapurusha, a part of the Purusha lays down within the water of the universe.
Purusha 的一部分，它就躺在了宇宙之水中。
So that is Garbhodakashayi Vishnu.
这个指的是 Garbhodakashayi 孕蛋之羊 Vishnu。
And he is laying down within the universe, and from his navel comes the lotus flower.
他躺在宇宙，然后从他的肚脐生出一朵莲花。
And from that lotus flower, Brahma takes birth.
从这朵莲花上呢 ，Brahma 就诞生了。
So it's believed that all the material planets are situated on the body of the Purusha.
人们相信，所有的宇宙星球都处在 Purusha 的身体当中。
But the Purusha doesn't have anything to do with the different material ingredients.
但是这位 Purusha 跟不同的物质元素是没有关系的。
The body of the Purusha is eternally in spiritual existence.
这位 Purusha 的身躯是永恒的，处在灵性存在当中。
And the devotees with the perfect eyes can see the transcendental form of the Purusha.
而拥有完美视力双眼的奉献者们，能够看见这位 Purusha 的超然形象。
And they can see his thousands of legs and arms and faces all extraordinary.
他们可以看见这位 Purusha 的上千只臂膀，上千只双腿部以及上千个面容，全部都是超凡卓绝的。
So in that body, there are thousands of heads and ears and eyes and noses.
在那个身躯当中呢，有上千个头颅、耳朵、眼睛、鼻子。
And they're all decorated with thousands of helmets and earrings and covered and decorated with garlands.
他们全都装饰着佩戴着上千个头盔以及耳环，还有佩戴着上千个花环。
And this form is the source and the seed of all the different incarnations within the universe.
而这个形象是这个宇宙中，那些无穷无尽的化身的源泉。
So different demigods, different living entities like demigods and men and others, they're all there. They all come from this form.
不同的生物，不同的半神人和其他的生物，都是从这个形象创造出来的。
So the Mahapurusha is the support of the material nature.
马哈普鲁什是物质宇宙的支柱。
He's the original source of all the basic causes of creation.
它也是这个宇宙的基础原因的半源之源。
Things like the 5 gross elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether.
它也是这个5种粗糙的元素，不是，它也是这个土、水、火、空气、液态的源泉。
And he's the source of the 11 senses, means the 5 knowledge senses, the 5 working senses in the mind.
它也是不同感官的根源，包括5个工作感官、5个获取知识的感官以及心意。
And he performs his pastimes while he's lying in the ocean that fills the bottom of the universe.
当他躺在充满宇宙一半的这个宇宙之水的时候呢，他也同时在上演着逍遥时光。
And from his navel comes the lotus flower.
从他肚脐上生出一朵莲花。
And it's from that lotus flower all the different forms of the material existence are created.
正是从这朵莲花，所有宇宙的不同的形象被创造出来了。
And at the top of the flower, that's where Brahma is born.
就在这朵莲花的顶部，主 Brahma 诞生出来。
And when Brahma's inside the lotus flower, inside the stem of the lotus, at that time Brahma can understand the plan, the detail, the plan of creation.
当 Brahma 潜入到这个莲花境中的时候，他能够明白对这个创造的计划。
So Brahma saw that lotus flower on which he was born, from which he was born, that lotus flower was spread throughout the universe.
Brahma 看见，他自己诞生出他本人的这朵莲花呢，遍布宇宙各处。
Okay. So the lotus flower spread throughout the universe, and Brahma contemplates how to create all the planets.
当这朵莲花散布到宇宙各处的时候，主 Brahma 就冥想如何进行创造。
Because previously all the planets had become merged into that same lotus flower.
因为在此之前呢，所有的三界呢都融入到这朵莲花当中。
So Brahma, we see Brahma is always engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord, and he entered into the whirl of the lotus flower.
Brahma 就这样总是从事着为至尊性格神手做服务，而且 Brahma 也进入到莲轮当中。
And the lotus flowers spread all over the universe, and so the universe gets divided into 3 divisions, and then later into 14 different divisions.
当这个宇宙当这个莲花呢散布到宇宙充斥着整个宇宙的时候，Brahma 又将它分为3个部分，以后又进一步划分为14个部分。
So by meditation, Brahma discovered the 1,000-headed Mahapurush.
Brahma 在冥想当中呢，就探寻到了1000头的 Mahapurush。
Because in the beginning, the Mahapurush had become invisible, and Brahma couldn't see him.
因为在此之前呢，这位 Mahapurush 是不可见的 ，Brahma 看不见他。
But then in his meditation, Brahma realized the Mahapurush was there.
在冥想当中呢 ，Brahma 就意识到了 Mahapurush 的存在。
So Brahma offered prayers to him, and he had a special request to the Lord.
Brahma 向这位 Mahapurush 献上祈祷，并且提出了一个特殊的请求。
And he requested the Lord, please come and live on my planet in this very form.
Brahma 的祈祷是，请您以同样的这个形象居住在和我居住在我的星球上。
So this is how the Lord came to live on the planet of Brahma. He became the constant guest of Brahma.
这就是我是如何和 Brahma 居住在一起的原因，他成了主 Brahma 的常客。
So that Mahapurush is also called the all-pure.
Mahapurush 也被称为最吉祥的人。
Even when he gives shelter to the material energy, he remains untouched by the material energy.
即便他在给予物质能量庇护的同时，他也不受物质能量的触碰。
And he is also substantial reality, because he is the all-pervading absolute truth.
他也是实相真理实相，因为他是遍存万有的绝对真理。
And he's an incarnation of Godhead.
他是神手的化身。
But he's also called the fountainhead of all other incarnations.
他也被称之为是所有其他化身的源头。
This is because he's the total support of the material nature.
这是由于他是物质自然的支柱，全部支柱。
So he's almost like the Supreme Lord, who's the master of Vaikuntha, Lord Narayan.
所以他和那位 Vaikuntha 之主Sri Narayana 几乎是可以并驾齐驱的。
And all the incarnations of Narayan appear in this world because they all appear in this world. They appear during the rule of the Mahapurusha.
所有神的化身全部都是在 Mahapurush 的统治期间显现在这个世界。
During the rule of the Mahapurusha's servant Brahma.
就是在 Mahapurush 的仆人 Brahma 的统治期间显现的。
And in the 11th canto, it also describes about the Mahapurusha.
圣经博伽瓦坛第11篇同样描述了这位 Mahapurush。
There it says, when the primeval Lord Narayan entered or created the universal body,
当主Narayana
so out of the 5 elements produced from himself by his own power,
他凭借自己的力量便进入了这个宇宙的躯体。
so he became the Purusha. Elaborate arrangements within his body are the 3 planetary systems of the universe.
在精妙地安排了整个宇宙的3个星系。
And
他的超然的感官，
his transcendental senses generate the knowledge acquiring and active senses of all the beings. Like we have knowledge senses and working senses, so these are all generated from the Mahapurusha.
我们有5个获取知识的感官，以及5个活跃的工作感官，这些全源自Purusha。
And his consciousness also generates conditioned knowledge.
他的知觉也创造了受条件限制的知识。
And his powerful breathing produces the bodily strength and the different activities of the embodied souls.
他强有力的呼吸，产生出受条件限制灵魂的具体力量以及活动。
And he is the prime mover through the agency of the material modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance.
他是那位透过物质的善良、激情、愚昧属性的这个代理人的主要的驱动力。
And in this way, the universe is created, maintained, and annihilated.
以这种方式，整个宇宙被创造、维系以及毁灭。
The Mahapurusha produced the total body of the universe.
Mahapuruša 产生出宇宙的整个身体。
And then he entered into it just for his pastime.
之后，他只是为了上演消时光，又进入其中。
But he didn't do it just for his own enjoyment.
但是他并不是仅仅为了自己的享乐而这么去做的。
He is the enjoyer of the universal body. So he's the most pious of all conditioned beings.
他是宇宙身体的享受者，因此他也是受条件限制的生物当中最虔诚的人。
And he's called the Purusha because he lays down within the water of the universal shell.
他被称为 Purusha， 因为他在宇宙的外壳之内躺了下来。
And all the 3 worlds are all there within his body.
在他的身躯之内都蕴藏着3个世界。
So Mahapurusha is responsible for creation, maintenance, and annihilation.
因此Mahapuruša便负责创造、维系以及毁灭。
So Indra is describing that the Mahapurusha lives constantly on Lord Brahma's planet.
Indra 就这样描述说，主Mahapuruša恒常地居住在 Brahma 的星球。
And he takes all the offerings made in sacrifice.
他接受吞没了他 它消耗了祭祀当中的贡品。
And all of these offerings are like a river, a constant flowing river, because on Brahmaloka many sacrifices are always performed.
这些不同的贡品就像一个川流不息的河流，因为在 Brahmaloka 恒常的举行着各种各样的献祭活动。
So we may wonder, what do they do up there in Brahmaloka? They're doing sacrifices. They're offering fire sacrifice and making these offerings to the Lord.
我们可能纳闷儿 ，Brahmaloka 上的人们，咱们在干什么呢？他们在向这位主做出祭祀。
So because the Lord is satisfied by these offerings, so all the people on Brahma's planet, they're always blissful. They enjoy great happiness.
因为主对这些献祭感到心满意足，因此 Brahma 星球上的居民们都恒常的感受到了极乐。
And because the Lord's always satisfied by these offerings, it's true that the Mahapurush, sometimes he goes away from there. Sometimes he will leave. At that time, he will merge into the body of Lord Krishna to join him in Mathura.
由于主他的心满意足，有的时候呢，如 Mahapurusha，便不在那个星球，而融入当主 Krishna 在 Mathura 的时候呢，这位主便融入到 Krishna 的身躯当中。
And he will join Krishna, who's on the earth planet, when he appears in Mathura.
当 Krishna 在地球上的 Mathura 显现的时候，他便加入到 Sri Krishna 之中。
So at that time, the ecstasy on Brahmaloka gets interrupted.
当那个时刻来臨的時候 ，Brahmaloka 上面的狂喜便受到了干擾，中斷了。
But the nature of time on Brahmaloka is so great that even the 100 years of Krishna's pastime on earth, it's a very short time on Brahmaloka.
但是 Brahmaloka 上的時間的因素是如此的奇妙非凡。Sri Krishna 在这个地球上显现的期间呢，对他们来说只是很短暂的一个时间。
So just like Brahmaloka, it's just like Mahapurusha's always there on Brahmaloka.
所以这就表面上好像是 Mahapurusha 总是在 Brahmaloka 之上。
So Indra says to Narada, he said, I could tell you thousands of other reasons why Brahma is the real object of Krishna's mercy.
因着对 Narada 说，我可以列举出成千上万条理由，为什么 Brahma 是主 Krishna 仁慈的真正接受者。
He is actually Krishna himself.
他事实上就是 Krishna 本人。
So, this is Narada Muni's. This is what Indra is saying to Narada Muni.
这上面这番话就是因着对 Narada Muni 所说的。
So we'll stop here.
我们讲课部分到这里。
Yeah. Are there any questions?
Yes， 第一个问题，昨天晚上的问题，来自于 Sugita Sangha Dasi， 顶拜 Guru 的莲哈族，请问 Guru， 冬天和夏天早晨太阳出来的时间差很多，我们早起的时间也需要随之改变吗？
Yeah. Yeah, difficult.
Sugita Sangha，
But, you know, the system is we take advantage of the time before the sunrise.
这个制度就是我们充分利用在日出前的那个期间。
Of course, but on your place, the sun rises, in the summertime it rises like 3 o'clock in the morning.
但是在您居住的地方呢，日出大概是凌晨3点钟。
So you have to get up at 1:30.
那么这就意味着您得凌晨1点半就起床。
So difficult, very difficult.
所以这么早起床就有点困难。
What to do?
那怎么办呢？
Anyway, Prabhupada would usually say, make sure you get up by 4 o'clock in the morning.
无论如何，圣帕巴德通常说，要设法在凌晨4点钟起床。
That's the important thing.
这是非常重要的。
Don't sleep until 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning.
不要一直睡到清晨7、8点才起床。
Okay?
下一个问题是来自于马杜康体 Devidasi， 敬爱的 Gurudev， 敬拜您的莲花组，您讲课说不能把物质转化为灵性，我就不知道怎么做一个谦卑的仆人，也总爱用曾经学习物质方面的道德去思考审视别人，不知道怎么放下曾经学习的，真正学习，从而真正学习 Krishna 知觉。
什么意思？
Well, Madhu Kanti said, in your lecture you said that we cannot change the material into spiritual. Then I don't know how to become a humble servant, because I used to use the material moral codes to judge and to say things, and I don't know how to keep up those knowledge I have learned, and began to really learn Krishna consciousness.
I don't really know what her question is.
I think her question is related to the evening class about that we cannot use our material experience into change our material experiences and use it in our spiritual practice.
Well, yeah, you can. What your material experience, you can use it also in Krishna consciousness.
你也可以将你的物质的体验用在 Krishna 知觉当中，可以的。
Just like maybe in the material world, maybe you have a job and you work in an office and you're a secretary. And so when you come to Krishna consciousness, maybe you can be secretary in the office.
比如说您在物质工作上呢是一个坐办公室的，那么在 Krishna 知觉当中呢，您可以成为一个秘书，担任秘书一职。
If you've cultivated some good qualities or some good habits, then you can use them in the service of Krishna. And the bad habits you have to give up.
如果您呢已经培养了一些优秀的品质，又养成了良好的习惯，那你也可以用在 Krishna 知觉当中。倘若是不良的品质和不良的习性，那么就需要放弃。
Yeah.
下一个问题，下一个问题是来自于 弘冕 Hare Krishna 顶拜 Guru。感谢你，请问Mahaprusha 总在 Brahma Loka 接受祭祀，他很开心，那地球上的我们所见的灾难从哪儿来的呢？Since Mahaprusha is very happy to receive those offerings in Brahmaloka, then those disasters on the earth, where do they come from?
The disasters on the earth, they come from our disobedience to the laws of the Lord.
地球上的灾难是源于我们不服从主的法律。
Because we're trying to enjoy the world without recognizing the proprietorship of Krishna.
因为我们试图享受这个世界，然后同时我们也不承认主对这个世界的拥有权。The next one， 下一个是上周的问题。上周问题 Shruti Rupa Dasi 顶拜 Guru， 我怎么可以突破从小到大就一直存在的紧张感呢？请问这是我过去罪恶深重的心理阴影吗？该怎么突破呢？答案 I always feel very nervous. Is that because all the things Papa I have committed and those have left an impression on my mind? How can I break through it?
Yes, you're right that our nervousness could be impressions due to things in the past, different things which happened in the past.
您说的是正确的，这是由于我们过往所从事的种种的罪恶活动，就在我们的内心心田当中留下了印记阴影。
But you can change it. You can get rid of it by chanting Hare Krishna.
但是您可以通过唱诵 Hare Krishna 去除这些阴影。
By good chanting, purify your consciousness and get rid of all that.
通过很好的来唱诵，都可以去除掉这些阴影。下一个问题是来自于香香。
Yes.
Sorry,
I have a question from Shang Shang from her letter to me.
Okay, about 什么 Radharani. First, let me read the question.
Okay, go ahead.
香香说，顶拜库马尔做奉爱服务，意味着追随 Radharani 是在 Radharani 的控制下服务。我们如何在 Radharani 的控制下做服务呢？对这个不太理解。
不太理解。She doesn't understand.
Yes.
She doesn't understand how to serve Radharani.
No, not exactly. She said that devotional service is under the control of Radharani. I cannot fully understand that.
She cannot fully understand it.
Yeah.
Well, just like in a government, there are different offices, different departments. So somebody may be the head of the government, but there's different offices. Somebody's in charge of the army, somebody's in charge of hospitals, somebody's in charge of education. So the same way, in the universal government, Radharani is in charge of devotional service.
就像在政府，一个政府，它有不同的办公部门，比如说，在政府这个首脑下面呢，有负责军事的， 有负责医疗的，有负责教育的，教育部、医疗部、军事、军队。然后在整个这个宇宙的政府当中呢，Radharani 负责掌控着奉爱服务。
Okay.
Next one.
Yeah.
OK. 下一个是来自于 Sitarani 顶拜孤日莲花族。很多消时光最后一堆，那个伟大的人物就是 Krishna 本人。只有他才能做那么多奇妙非凡的事情。那我们普通人为什么要削尖脑袋去追寻完美呢？如果知足常乐会怎么样呢？感恩您。Understand, Mara?
No.
Sitarani said that, please accept my humble obeisance to your lotus feet, Guru. In many pastimes, that the final touch, the final wonderful personality is Krishna himself. Only Krishna can perform so many miracles. Then, as ordinary people, why should we always hanker perfection? If we are always satisfied and we are always happy, what will happen if we always satisfied and happy and not to hanker for perfection? Because Krishna, because we are ordinary person and only Krishna can perform miracles.
Well, yes, let Krishna perform the miracles. We want to just simply become devoted to Krishna. We want to develop love for Krishna. And what will happen if we develop love for Krishna? Then that's why we'll be happy, we'll be fully satisfied. When we give love to Krishna, then you're actually satisfied. You give your love to anybody else, you won't be satisfied forever. You won't be fully satisfied. But if we give love to Krishna, Krishna fully satisfies us.
对，那就让 Krishna 去做那些奇迹吧。我们只需要培养奉爱情。如果我们有了奉爱，我们就会快乐和满足。如果我们爱 Krishna 就快乐了。但是如果我们爱的是别人而不是 Krishna， 那是不会快乐的。如果爱 Krishna 才得到彻底的全部的满足。我们爱 Krishna 的话 ，Krishna 会满足我们。
Yeah. Nothing else, you know, you may love a man, you love your house, you love your children. They will all, you know, that love is not eternal. That love is very limited.
倘若我们是爱另外一个男人，爱我们的房子，爱我们的孩子，这份爱不是永恒的，而是有限的。
But give your love to Krishna, you'll be fully satisfied.
如果您把您的爱献给 Krishna 的话，您就会彻底的心满意足了。
And just to help us to love him, Krishna performs these miracles. He does all these pastimes, these miracles. It's just to help to make it easier for us to love him.
为了帮助我们来爱他，所以 Krishna 就上演了所有这些奇迹，上演了所有这些消时光，目的是为了帮助我们爱他。
And we'll think how wonderful Krishna is.
你会惊叹，哎呦 ，Krishna 真是太奇妙了。
Yeah. Okay.
下一个是来自于 Shama Ranjini。Hare Krishna， 亲爱的 Guru Maharaj， 请接受我卑微礼拜，一切荣耀归于帕布帕德，感恩。
Haribo.
Hare Krishna, because my computer I cannot fully 萨提玛的您在吗？您能不能读一下这些问题呢？因为我看这些问题有点费劲儿。
好的，好的。下面让金您把他提问，就是请问咕噜，遇到灵性导师却提不出来问题，是否能够进步？
你在念一遍 If you don't meet the guru, can you still make spiritual advancement?
She met guru, but she cannot raise questions.
Oh, she cannot raise questions. Oh. Well, that's okay. Just hear. Just try to hear and understand.
没有问题，这是无可厚非的，需要聆听，然后努力去理解聆听的内容。
We hope you can understand. Even if you can't ask any questions, we hope you can understand.
我们希望您提不出问题，你也可以理解。
Yeah. You know, I have some questions here. Can I read these questions?
萨提玛的姐姑说她有一些问题，可不可以来读呢？